I couldn't wait to hop in here and with all my Mets gear as we sadly talk about Garrett Cole being out for the season. It's
Yeah.
just it's just the Yankees, man. Well, it's not even that. Like I didn't realize how much you guys are actually going through it this offseason. Like once I looked at all the other stuff you guys have going on, like with Stanton and some of these other injuries, I was just
Yeah.
like,
And Gil,
oh.
yep.
I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh,
we're not starting off on the right foot.
no.
We didn't
Not at
leave
all.
off on the right foot. In the offseason, we definitely weren't on any feet, and now we're
Yeah, not good, bud. You know what I had today that I haven't had in a long time, and I thought they stopped making it?
cocaine.
Yeah, I'm not 35 anymore. A Charleston chew. I
What?
didn't know they were still making that. And
Where'd
I
you
found
find
it.
one of those?
Probably somewhere where I shouldn't find it. It was like one of those little, it's called Skipper's Corner Mart. So that probably tells you.
That tells me everything I need to know and then some.
Yeah. And I should have known better when I saw Surge in the refrigerator.
No.
That I probably shouldn't be drinking this, but it was, it's a Charleston chew. It's one of my favorite candies. It took me this long as an adult, not having it after a few years, to realize all it is a Tootsie Roll with like filling inside of it. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's why I like it, because I do like. I know a lot of people aren't big Tootsie Roll guys, but I'm a big Tootsie Roll guy. We got to get Mike and them. They're people from what's that? Iconic Candy.
Iconic Candy and make some Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah, make some Charleston shoes, man. Like, and maybe they already have it. And if they do, send me a box. I'll plug you, like I just did. Technically, they're Mike's sponsor, but hey, I'll get in on the action if you send me a box of Charleston shoes.
Yeah, we'll work for free candy.
Hell yeah, 100%. I'll work. Knowing my history, I'll work for a lot less. So we do have a lot to get to today. We will do NFL free agency, of course, all the biggest moves, and then we'll do so far. We're still waiting on the really big one, but there's been a lot to talk about, a lot of repercussions, and then we'll do some LeBron James, Stephen A. Smith stuff. Very interesting story. There's actually a lot of good takes out there, and you'll hear from us, and then we'll break out the violins for Bert's New York Yankees, who the season may be over before. Well,
let's not go that far. It's not looking great, but
I mean, in my version, it is.
Yeah.
Give them a shot to do what?
Sports. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stuff About Sports, presented by the Give Us a Shot Network, powered by Fast Break Coffee, and sponsored, as always, Bert, by the haters. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the first timers, last timers, podcast listenership, YouTube viewership, social media ship, and all you hate watchers out there, man. I love it. You guys are. I've never listened to you. How did this thing come across my feed? And then here they are in the next post arguing with me. This time it's about.
I think what we've learned the past 3 months is Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and LeBron James are apparently the holy trinity of people no one can fucking criticize anymore without individuals getting butthurt about people they probably don't even personally know.
The funny thing about the Jalen Hurts thing is, we still said he was a top 10 quarterback, but it was because we didn't say he's the best quarterback ever, right? We didn't say he was better than Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. It's ridiculous. Like,
he's got to be the best. That's it.
It's not good enough that y'all won the Super Bowl. It's not good enough. Like, all right, Nick Foles was a top 5 quarterback at some point because he won a Super Bowl and he's Super Bowl MVP. What does that mean? Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, you're never going to convince me that a guy who only had one 300-yard game all season and got 0 MVP votes is an elite quarterback. Sorry, he's very good. So, I mean, that is what it is. But we're not here to talk about. Actually, there was something else earlier today about the Eagles. There was some news that I saw, man. And I had a pretty good zinger there, and I can't remember what it is, and it's going to really bother me. about when I did the top tandems of wide receivers, and I said AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and I said, yeah, they work really well together. Imagine if they had an elite quarterback throwing to them.
Jesus.
Eagles fans are up in a tizzy. They couldn't stop themselves. So, but hey, man, like there's a lot in NFL free agency to get to. I think the biggest one, I guess, the shocker, we were going to do like winners and losers type deal, or good, bad, fugly. But honestly, like to me, the Seahawks, probably the most interesting of all of it, right? Like what the Seahawks trading away Geno and DK, then giving Sam Darnold, to 30 million, 40 something, something crazy. What did you think of the kind of the Sam Darnold deal there?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of the same thought that you had, right? It was like a head scratcher. We're like, all right, well, why would you trade Geno Smith in place for Sam Darnold? For all intent and purpose, had a great season, but this was the only pretty much great season he's had, as opposed to a guy that you had been rolling with, who's been doing pretty good with you. And I don't know if it's just a part of a greater rebuild or what. And, not that Geno's in a bad spot now in Vegas, especially with Pete Carroll at the helm, but, it was one of those, like, well, how'd you put a head scratcher? It was one of those like, oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'm a Seahawks fan, I'm pissed off. Like you guys went from like, I don't want to say knocking at the door. You're farther. You took 2 steps back to me.
Yeah.
Like, you were a good team, competitive, I guess. I don't know, but a 3-year. What did Sam Darnold do for you? For a 3-year, $100 million contract with what, 50 million guaranteed? Like it's, I'm concerned about. The guy gave you one really good year. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like he gave you have this long track record of just great Sam Darnold tape. And it was like the teams around him weren't good. No, he hasn't been good, struggling to play in Carolina, backing up in San Francisco, things like that, seeing ghosts on the Jets. I think the big part of the Sam Darnold story was that he kind of came out of nowhere, like that resurgence with the Vikings, because people gave up on him. But now there's expectations, man. Like I got to see more than 1 year. Again, it brings me to my Cam Newton analogy. We have 115-1 amazing, one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen, but then it makes us kind of forget like the 13 years of 7-9. You know what I mean? Like Sam Darnold has been average to probably below average 90% of his career. Yeah, and then he goes
Jefferson as a receiver and Aaron Jones in the backfield. Then
and a great play caller and a great coach like Kevin O'Connell. Like and so I would have. Again, I can't blame him. This is not a Sam Darnold criticism. This is just like we get how the.
I think it's more the Seahawks criticism because you figure, see it, Tyler Lockett, and then DK out, right? So, I mean, and once the Geno news hit, you're like, okay. And then Sam Darnold, you're like, so it is, I guess, just a full on, I'll call it a rebuild. But I mean, what did they give Darnold?
3 years, 100 million. I think it's 50 something.
I guess I need to level set my expectations when it comes down to paying quarterbacks. And you would think I would have learned my lesson by watching the Giants give Daniel Jones better part of 40 million for 2 years that he was serviceable. Like what I guess that's just the going rate for mediocre quarterbacks. And case in point, Daniel Jones just got 14 million for 1 year in the Colts, and then Justin Fields, 30 million guaranteed.
You want to talk about
like
a shocker? A shocker. Justin Fields signing with the Jets, 2 years, 40 million, and you said 30 of it was guaranteed?
Let me just double check. I thought it was very similar to a Saquon deal, where I think Saquon had at least, it was like 31.9 or almost 32 guaranteed. And he's got incentives in there too. But Justin Fields, when I saw it, I was like literally like, what? Like, 2 years, 40 million. And I thought, let's see, 30 mil guaranteed. $30 million. The Jets, and this is the Jets jetting. to the
Yes.
the greatest extent of what is that franchise. And look, Justin Fields has potential. There is upside there, but to give this man $30 million guaranteed before he even steps foot on a football field is insanity to me. Absolute insanity. I said the same thing about Russell Wilson.
Oh yeah.
When Denver extended him immediately, and you're like,
Yeah.
he hasn't even thrown a pass yet. Like,
Mhm.
what is happening right now? And we all see how well that turned out.
The thing with Justin Fields is I know people are going to keep hanging on to potential and skill and act like he hasn't had any opportunity. He's had plenty of opportunity to grow. He's not some like dwindling, and I get that he's young and stuff, but
It's 26.
I got you, man. But like these franchise quarterbacks, you kind of know, you know what I mean? Like,
I agree with you. Yeah.
and to give a guy who has been struggling to become a starter $30 million guaranteed.
Mhm.
And I get it. The Jets had to find a starting quarterback. And I guess it makes sense for the Jets to do it because they do have excellent skill players around Justin Fields. They have a defense that probably took a step back, but still a pretty solid defense. Maybe Aaron Glenn can fix a lot of that and make that a defensive team. Maybe Justin Fields doesn't have to do as much, but the tape is out on Justin Fields. He doesn't do anything well other than run. And I don't know if you checked or if you noticed, Bert, he's a quarterback. You need him to throw the ball, and he can't throw the ball. Yeah, like you have a quarterback that can't throw. Hey, maybe having a Breece Hall helps. Maybe a defensive coach to help him see the things that he's not seeing. And that's really the big thing for me with Justin Fields. I haven't seen any growth. I haven't seen it at all. And I get, and people are going to tell you that, when Tomlin is subbing you in and out for specialty packages, things like that, the opportunities he did have, he doesn't look like he's learned anything from anybody. He looks like the same guy that got drafted. And it's not, this guy he has a couple of years under his belt now.
Yeah.
Like it's time. Like, and I'm only speaking in terms of franchise quarterback. Like at this point, it's like, you kind of know already. You know what I mean? Like we talk about it all the time. Josh Allen's rookie year wasn't great, but you saw the greatness in it. Like I haven't seen that in Justin Fields, so it's just a head scratcher.
Yeah, I'm looking at his career number. I mean, like when you break it down by season. Now, granted, the first 3 with the Bears. I guess you can salvage a part of his 2022 season.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is, as you mentioned, great runner, right? So the rushing yards there. He's a mobile quarterback, but he's gonna have to throw. And he hasn't thrown for, over really one season, 2,500 yards.
Not gonna get it done, bud.
It's not. There's gonna be a lot of garbage time TDs in Jets games, but we'll see. Sam Darnold, right? Darnold.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Rams, Devontae Adams, 2-year deal. Releasing Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Listen, I get Adams aging a little bit, but I think he's shown you flashes that he can still be a good number 2. I think his number 1 days are behind him, but at least in this setup that the Rams have, he's not going to be relied upon to save the day like he was for the Jets. Like when Aaron Rodgers got the Jets to make that trade for him, having probably a better receiver in this point in time, in Puka Nacua is going to help Devontae Adams out a little bit, if not, or help the offense. Like you can't double both of them. You know what I mean? So the Rams, it's a very good side, probably one of the better ones, because the Rams have a nice offense. I know Devontae's a big fan of the West Coast, wanted to get back out there to the West Coast. So, shout out to him. Shout out to him for getting it done and getting back to where he needs to be. But the Rams, it's all going to hinge on Matt Stafford, right? His health. Like, hey, man, he's aging. I know he wants to play.
He just signed a contract, right?
Signed a contract. He thinks he could still do it at whatever the high level is to him is, I guess. But I would. The Rams got to be careful here. This feels not desperate, but this feels like last ditch effort. You know what I mean? Like this just feels like a.
But listen, here's the thing with the Rams. We knew that they mortgaged somewhat because they're still a competitive team. But when they won the Super Bowl that year, they essentially mortgaged their future in terms of how they were going to build the team to win that year. And since then, not for nothing, if Matt Stafford is healthy, they've been a competitive football team. So they're not too far removed from a Super Bowl win.
Right.
This could help them in the end too. And although, I mean, they, for some reason, I don't know if it was just being injury prone or inconsistency with Cooper Kupp, but I mean, let him go, which is great for the football world because he can end up somewhere else. But yeah, when you make a signing like this, hey, why not? Like, stay competitive in their division and, see if they can get back to it. I agree with you that this seems like the second attempt at a last ditch effort, because if not, it's all for nothing.
Shocked that DK Metcalf went to the Steelers.
I'm not.
I'm a little shocked.
It's a good landing point for him.
It's an okay landing spot for him. My issue is you get a second round pick for him, which is fine because I don't think he's good enough for a first round pick, or at least he hasn't been. And he's probably too good to give up for third, fourth, fifth round picks if you're the Seahawks.
Yeah.
The issue I have with it is they're not built to win right now. Like, they don't have a quarterback. And
that's the biggest piece, right?
Right. You have two mercurial receivers. You have George Pickens there, who we've seen show the attitude. You have DK, who has shown attitude when the quarterback or they're not getting their way. You have two guys. And Mike Tomlin's probably the guy to kind of handle that. But if I'm the Steelers, man, like, I probably would have. I don't know. I don't know if I would have made that move knowing that the quarterback is not in play. Like, they better hope they get Aaron Rodgers.
Maybe they made the move in hopes to attract Aaron Rodgers, or I don't know who else is out there, right? Like,
I mean, Russ, right? But like neither one of them.
But they're kind of showing that they don't want Russ back. Right. That's the thing. So
I think it's less that they don't want Russ back. I think they know that Russ doesn't have a market, and they know Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a market. It's the Giants or the Steelers. You know what I mean?
Or Minnesota.
Man, I think Minnesota was cool. I don't think they let Sam Darnold go thinking we're going to get Aaron Rodgers. I think they let him go thinking we drafted JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
Like, we drafted him with our first pick.
So more or less, like, if they land a Russ or an Aaron Rodgers, great. If not, we're fine. You know,
like they were already ready to roll with JJ McCarthy until he tore his ACL, and I get it.
Yeah.
1/2 of preseason football, he looked pretty good. And if anything, even if you don't believe because you're not sure about JJ, Kevin O'Connell resurrected Sam Darnold's career, a guy that we considered a bust, a guy that people forgot about. And if he can make Sam Darnold look good, I got to imagine a rookie quarterback that has a little bit better or more intangibles can probably make it happen. With Kevin O'Connell, again, a great coach can definitely make a good QB. So we'll see. Obviously, with point improving with the Vikings this year, Sam Darnold wasn't just this aberration that we all missed, right? Like, he wasn't good. Like, he got with the right coach, got in the right system. Is that going to translate? Maybe that confidence for him will translate over to Seattle. I don't know who Seattle's coach is at the moment. I think it's McDonald, something like that.
I mean, you hope that carries over, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned Aaron Rodgers. Let's get this out of the way. So we're not thinking, by we I mean you, not thinking Minnesota's even in the picture now. So realistically speaking, he's got Pittsburgh and he's got the Giants.
Yep.
Russ is also meeting with the Giants. So what team do you think is better fit for Aaron Rodgers right now?
The best fit for Aaron Rodgers, if Minnesota's out of the picture, I would say, man, this is gonna sound crazy. Tennessee.
Oh.
If I was in Tennessee, and I don't hear their name much, but I did hear that their odds went up to 61% to trade that number 1 pick. If I'm Tennessee, Aaron Rodgers right now is better than anything that's in the draft currently. You know you need more than just a quarterback, so why draft one? You trade back. You pick up some extra spot things in the draft that you need. You have Aaron Rodgers. You already have decent running backs. You already have Calvin Ridley, good receivers. You work on that defense. You work on some things. And Tennessee with Aaron Rodgers as a gap now, and then you draft your quarterback next year, where the draft class is a little bit deeper. This is probably a one and a half quarterback draft class in this year's draft, and depending on how you feel about Shador, Aaron Rodgers right now, and then you trade back. So if I'm Tennessee, I'm thinking that would be the best fit. Do I see that happening? No, I do see him ending up in a Minnesota or a Pittsburgh situation. But if Tennessee would be the best, and then on top of that, because if you land in Minnesota, you got the Lions there, you got the Packers there. If you land in Pittsburgh, you have the Ravens and you have the Bengals you got to compete with. So it's like when you go to Tennessee, you're in the AFC South. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
if you're Aaron Rodgers and you're thinking my easiest path back to success, it's an easier division. It's probably one of the better teams in terms of roster construction in the division. I'm not worried about the Jags because I just don't know what they are. Who's the other AFC South team? I mean, the Texans, right? Like that would be the only other
competitive team there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the Colts too, but I mean, we'll see.
The Colts just signed Daniel Jones. They don't know what they want.
$14 million.
Man, listen, these backups will get it done. But I mean, listen, Danny Dimes,
13 fully guaranteed, and a $6 million sign-on bonus. This is ridiculous. I'm so glad I didn't look into this contract the other day because that would have been absurd. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know. I need Daniel Jones's agent to negotiate everything to me just short of sex with my wife. Yeah. This is insane. To get this much out of Daniel Jones, this dude's a master class of negotiation.
Yeah, hey man, listen, Daniel Jones' agent knows how to get that money. He got that money from the Giants.
For real.
The Sam Darnold thing honestly feels like a lot like the Daniel Jones thing. I do believe Sam Darnold is better than Daniel Jones, but it feels like, hey, we got to spend this money. We need a quarterback.
Yeah.
We got to pay somebody. And Sam Darnold just happened to be the lucky gal at the dance.
Yeah. Getting back to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say, getting back to Aaron Rodgers, I see your point about Tennessee. I mean, at this point, since we haven't heard their name, my guess is they're just going to use their number one pick, draft who they think their top quarterback is going to be, and go from there. And if not, they have Mason Rudolph to fall back on. But, that seems to be their play. I haven't heard them in any conversations. I haven't heard about Aaron Rodgers meeting with them, which makes me think that it's either going to be Pittsburgh or the Giants. And after some very deep reflection off of what was a knee-jerk reaction of me saying, why would we want Aaron Rodgers? I think I'm going back to the side of, fuck it, let's give it a shot. Yeah. He's still, and you have to separate person from quarterback. He's still a decent quarterback, not top of his game anymore, but definitely still there. We just signed Slayton 3 years, gave him Saquon money. Okay. And
you upset about that?
No, not really. Okay. Because I mean, look, at the end of the day, looking back, great for him, right? He's got a Super Bowl out of it. But I don't think our line at the time, and still probably is, would have been good for him. Saquon was successful last year because of how the Eagles were built. We were never going to be able to give that to him. And,
that's true.
When you don't have a solid offensive line or even a solid offense, it's going to be nothing but, I mean, how healthy was Saquon last year? Like, he didn't miss a game. Like, that's the thing. Like, with the Giants, he probably would have been beat up because, I mean, what do you hope to gain 1.5, 2 yards and then boom? Like, it's just, so I think we had to go out this year, sign a receiver long-term. And then of course, next step is going to be the quarterback. But for me, when looking at Aaron Rodgers, he can be that guy.
Yeah.
And I don't care so much about his personality or getting coaches or GMs fired or anything like that, because at this point, I think this is going to be the last year regardless for them. They have to show improvement. Otherwise, they're on the chopping block. So like, it's win-win for us. One, we get to see an Aaron Rodgers throw for us and hopefully make us competitive, or he blows it up like kind of the fan base wanted to last year, flying planes around the stadium saying this is enough, sell the team. So I mean, why not? But with that said, I think, I mean, I think Rodgers would probably want to go to Pittsburgh. They seem more competitive. Their defense is certainly a lot better too. Unless he just wants to stay in New York, you know?
Yeah. The other move, Geno Smith traded to the Raiders. I like Geno Smith. I think he's a top 15 quarterback. He can make the high end throws. He needs some help around him. He's, you know, I don't know what the Raiders' plan is, but they have Pete Carroll there now, so maybe he can recreate some of that. The guy who helped kind of rejuvenate Geno Smith's career, and Geno's in his mid 30s, man. He's like he's running out of time.
He was traded for a 3rd round pick. You know,
It's like it's all right, man. I think I don't even know if they did anything with his contract. I think it's just still the same.
No,
But
it's the same. I'll carry it over. Yeah,
just carried over. But I if they want to compete soon, it makes sense to the Raiders. They don't have time to wait on a Cam Ward or they don't have time for a rookie quarterback to develop. Right? They just don't. Like with Pete Carroll's 70-something years old. You know what I mean? So I think they're. And Geno, again, this goes back to just the draft class, right? I think a lot of these teams are recognizing, hey, this draft class sucks, and we don't have time, or depending on cap, free agency coming up, it could be a different thing. Just a couple smaller moves. Washington retooled Deebo Samuel trade, which was big.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just looking at their now. They re-signed Ertz,
Yep.
re-signed Bates. Debo's back in. I mean, they have a backup quarterback in Mariota, re-signing him.
Yep.
So a lot of re-signs. Let's see, beefed up their line a little bit.
Yeah.
Will Harris was a huge signing, though.
It was all of it. Even the Bears made a bunch of moves to their offensive line. They got a new offensive coordinator, and obviously they got Ben Johnson. So obviously they're going to give Caleb Williams every chance they can possibly have to succeed. And shout out to the Bears. Now, I mean, only if you guys had a quarterback, it would work out perfectly. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with Chicago. They're probably still another year away from truly competing. But again, if you believe in Caleb. He was the most sacked quarterback last year, and this is what I do like to see from teams. Offensive coordinator, offensive coach. We have a quarterback that we believe in. He needs help. He's getting destroyed back there. Let's focus all our attention on building a great offensive line. And, time will tell us to see if that happens, but shout out to them. And, of course, I'm going to shout out my Bills. Listen, Matt Collins going to the Patriots is a betrayal that I cannot fathom. I don't want to talk about it. But we ended up getting Josh Palmer from the Chargers, which is really nice. He's a Canadian boy coming back home. He'll be a good piece. To me, that there's a chance we can still bring back Cooper, but I'm going to assume Cooper is going to go where the money takes him. We got Joey Bosa, which was amazing.
Yeah,
all signs were pointing to him going with his brother.
Yeah,
we offered him $2 extra million, so I guess the price of your family is $2 million. So.
I mean, listen, if someone offered me $2 million to move away from my family, I would too.
Yeah. And so, hell yeah. And so, Eddie, I mean, to be honest, it's a good football move for him too. Like outside of the money, Buffalo is in a better position to compete. I mean, we talked about the Niners last year saying, you guys got to do something because you have old players on bad contracts and people keep getting hurt. And then, of course, last year happened with Brandon Ayuk, CMC in Germany half the year trying to get stem cell injections, trying to come back. And it's like their window is going to close very fast, but that's typically what happens. You capitalize on a window. Now you got to pay Brock Purdy. You pay the skill players. This is what happens. You have a small window to get it done. And unfortunately for the Niners, that window looks like it's closed. They'll probably have to rebuild here pretty soon. If I was them, I would entertain trading Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And getting everything you can. But yeah, Joey Bosa, listen, a little bit of injury history, but in Buffalo with this scheme, I think pairing him and replacing Von Miller with him is an upgrade, no matter how you slice it. And I think Joey will do well. And it's low risk for us. He's here for a year. So the Bills are really good at finessing the salary cap, signing Josh Allen to that extension, a well-deserved extension, but not setting the market because he understands that they also need to pay other players and try to keep some of their free agents, which they ended up doing. So hopefully Buffalo, I'm trying not to get too excited about Buffalo, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Listen, the last thing, because I know we got some other topics, but I mean, being an AFC guy, I need to understand how distraught you are knowing how powerful the Ravens are going to be this year, signing DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, should we even show up to the regular season?
You know, the regular season will be fun, and the Ravens will be dominant.
Yeah.
They may not lose a game, but then the playoffs will start.
Yep.
They are the AFC Cowboys. I don't care what the Ravens are going to do. Ravens can have MVP Lamar Jackson doing things we've never seen with the football and DeAndre Hopkins, blah, 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 blah. But then when the playoffs start, we know what's going to happen. They are the AFC Dallas Cowboys.
That's offensive to two fan bases.
Good. Two birds, one stone. No pun intended to the Ravens. But show me your history. I'll tell you your future. We know what time it is. And not even that. Baltimore's where these great receivers go to die. They had Dez Bryant. We've never seen him again. They had Deshaun Jackson that came in.
I forgot they had Dez.
Deshaun Jackson came in on the last legs of his career. Never seen him again. Odell Beckham Jr. came in. Did nothing. And so you think 30-something-year-old DeAndre Hopkins is going to come in there and make the difference? No thanks, bud. Hey, have fun. Hey, have a blast, Baltimore fans. I can't wait to hear all you Lamar Jackson. But then they'll play the Bills again in the playoffs. Like, we are your Chiefs to our, you know what I mean? Like, the Chiefs are our Chiefs, obviously, but we are y'all Chiefs. And you just can't get past us. And it's not going to happen with the bones of DeAndre Hopkins. Sorry. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
I will say it never hurts to have one more weapon out there. But
sure.
some of the things I've been seeing out online, you'd think, I'm like, come on, like, can we just level set expectations here?
The funny thing, the thing I like about free agency and especially aging veterans is we always get this theoretical version of the player we're signing.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like I'm like you see DeAndre Hopkins goes to the Ravens and people are going to think of Tennessee Titans DeAndre Hopkins in the 2015, 16, 17, you know what I mean? Like record breaking, one of the best receivers in the league, DeAndre, and it happens everywhere, man. When the Bills just got Amari Cooper, I thought we were getting Alabama Amari Cooper. Like, it's just our heads automatically go to the best version of the player we know. And we forget that, oh, wait, there's a reason why he's a free agent. There's a reason why the team that he was on traded him away. Like, it's just so we just hope for the best and hope that new surroundings and new stuff. And, luckily for DeAndre Hopkins, Lamar is such a weapon. Derrick Henry is such a weapon. Bateman is such a weapon. Mark Andrews and the other tight end they got are pretty good weapons. Like, he'll just fit in. He'll just be part of the system. He won't be relied upon. That's the benefit for him. Basically the same thing as Devontae Adams. So he probably will contribute, but he's not there for the regular season. They're fine, in the regular season. They need somebody reliable in the playoffs. DeAndre Hopkins still one of the more sure-handed receivers in the league. And I know I'm saying that watching him make that terrible drop in the Super Bowl where he was wide open. But he's still DeAndre Hopkins with like hands, just like a shooter. You can lose your legs, but shooters will always be able to shoot and they'll always have a job. DeAndre Hopkins will always be able to catch the ball. Now, can he run fast? Can he get separation? Can he do all the other things? No, but if Lamar Jackson can find those little pockets where he's open, I'm sure DeAndre Hopkins will catch the ball. All right. Switching gears to NBA, there's some tit for tat between Stephen A. Smith, LeBron James. Bert, listen, we've talked about this thing and about Bronny James getting drafted. LeBron playing with his son. It was a great moment. Blah, 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 blah. Then Stephen A. Smith, who I don't know, Bert, I don't know if you know this. I think it's his job to analyze sports, analyze storylines in the game.
Last time I checked, yep.
And he is one of those, he's an antagonizer guy, right? Like, he's not.
I think just by base of what he does, I mean, technically we're antagonizing. Like, I think anytime there is criticism, there's going to be individuals antagonizing fan bases, players. I mean, it just criticism draws it, plain and simple.
So LeBron decided to address Stephen A. Smith courtside, and it was funny because I didn't see it in real time. It came across my timeline and I saw LeBron going crazy and had a full-blown debate on First Take on the sideline of a Lakers game, like literally left the huddle to confront Stephen A. Smith about some comments that Stephen A. Smith has been making, throughout, I guess, the last few months since Bronny has entered the NBA. And obviously, again, it's Stephen A.'s job to talk about sports and analyze the game, analyze athletes, and he's a hot take artist. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
And so I guess LeBron caught Stephen A.'s gaze. The game was kind of close to being over. Stephen A. was sitting close to the Lakers bench. LeBron saw him, approached him, and had a confrontation. That's Stephen A.'s word too. It wasn't a conversation. It was a confrontation. Basically, and if you watch the videos, you could tell by the body language. It was a confrontation. It was heated. And LeBron basically summed it up saying, did the Will Smith keep my son's name out your mouth type deal.
So
and, I had mixed feelings. This was one of those rare occasions for me where I felt like everybody in this situation was right and everybody in this situation was wrong. You know what I mean? And LeBron wanted to purposely, and this is the story of LeBron James, he wanted to make a scene in front of everybody. He easily could have called Stephen A. or gotten in touch with Stephen A. He knows how to get in touch with Stephen A. if he had such a big problem with it.
Yeah.
Stephen A., talking about LeBron's parenting skills, that's muddy water, but I don't believe in lines. You have a platform, you can say whatever you want. People are already thinking that, in terms of how your son entered the league. Your son does not belong in the league, LeBron. And people are going to talk about that. Basically, what you're saying is nobody's allowed to criticize Bronny. And this thing that the fans do, and especially on our Instagram page, nobody's ever talked about a 55th pick this way. Well, you can't decide he's not a 55th pick in this. He's also not just the 55th pick. He's LeBron James' son.
Yeah, I mean, like when he was the 55th pick, we were here saying, why are we talking about this? And what we got from the same people who are saying you can't talk about the 55th pick like that, they're like, well, it's LeBron's son. That's why we're talking about it. Right. So, like, you can't have it both fucking ways, plain and simple.
It's people have been vocal about their feelings about it too. Like we've talked about on the show, Bronny being drafted, nepotism, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I'm with it. Get your son a job. But also you understand if you get your kid a job that and everybody else know he doesn't quote unquote deserve, there will be criticisms of that. The only thing that really would have fixed that is if Bronny was really good. People wouldn't talk about it as much, but he's not. He's out on the bench. He doesn't play in away games. Like he gets this special treatment, and this notion that we can't call that out is ridiculous. If I was Bronny and saw my dad go over there in the middle of a game or while the game is live, I don't care if the clock was ticking down or not. I would be embarrassed. I would be highly embarrassed. Your son is a grown man, and he's a professional athlete. He wasn't talking about your elementary school daughter. That'd be a whole different thing. Yeah. If he was if you were posting a video and you and your daughter were working on jump shots, and Stephen A. Smith said, "Well, I guess she won't be in the WNBA. She fucking sucks." Like she's in grade school. That's different than your professional athlete adult son who is now open to those criticisms. And what LeBron is doing is he's putting himself above everybody else. And
this is nothing new.
It's nothing. He's always done it. I called him selfish. Everyone's like, he's selfish.
The spectacle when he announced he was going to Miami, right? Nothing against him. And as a player, obviously, we have to admit that he's one of the best, if not the best, basketball player of a certain generation. I won't list our generation because I know we have opinions on this, and we've shared them before. To me, you put it perfectly in the post. Griffey Sr. never did this shit.
Nope.
All right. And not for nothing, it's got, do you know who my dad is feel to it? And it's not even on Bronny. It's on LeBron. And it's like, 100%. Dude, if your dad was high up at a company that he didn't own, but got his son in there, it's got that, like, don't you know who I am and who my father is type shit, like that you would find in a corporate environment. It's super annoying. It really is. Now, with that being said, I think it was handled wrong.
Yeah.
Like you said, they could have talked about this afterwards. No reason to leave the huddle about it and go cross court to have words about it. Like you have no other ways of reaching Stephen A. Knowing that it was just gonna be talked about again later on, not necessarily just by Stephen A, but by everybody else who saw it. But I didn't realize, because I didn't see initially, what Stephen A originally said to make him so mad. And was it the
Nothing.
fact that he was just questioning his parenting skills?
He was questioning LeBron basically using his status to elevate an undeserving player in Bronny, which is a fair criticism.
Yeah.
Like, and I do, and listen, I get it. We're both dads. I understand LeBron wanting to defend
I would
his
do the
son.
same.
I get it.
But
I do.
It's one of those conversations, or at least mentally for me, it'd be like, if I do this, and it would be a conversation I would have with my son or daughter saying, listen, this is what's going to happen. If you're okay with it, this is the criticism you're going to face because of the position we're in, which means you're going to have to work 10 times harder or just get thicker skin.
He said something to the effect he didn't want his kid in the media. And I'm like, that's impossible. It's impossible.
Dude, you're a professional athlete.
You're the most well-known.
You don't get
one
to
of the
pick
most,
and choose. Yeah.
100%. So I understand LeBron. As a dad, I understand. I do, but I can understand and say that it's wrong as well. I also understand Stephen A. Stephen A is basically saying, LeBron, you put a lot on your son's shoulders by the comments he made, and saying that, Bronny can play some guys that are in the NBA, right? He said that. Like when Bronny was recovering from a cardiac event, when he was in Sierra Canyon, in high school, talking about he can play with guys in the NBA right now. That's you don't need to say that, because people are already going to target him because he's your kid. But then when you say the stuff like, hey, my high school kid or my college kid who's not very good can play with guys in the NBA or beat guys in the NBA. And, did LeBron as a father, when Bronny was going into the draft, put way too much pressure going into the situation, the way he supported Bronny, the way he kind of pushed for the Lakers to draft him, the way he kind of force-fed this, hey, we're on this court together thing. You put a target on your kid's head, and so you have to decide. I understand supporting your kid, but you also have to have caution, because especially when you're in a position like LeBron, people may not be able to touch you, but they can touch your kid. Whoa, hold on, my bad. You know what I mean?
Figuratively speaking,
Figuratively speaking, they can get to you. They can get to your son. They may not be able to get to you, but it's again confronting Stephen A. in that manner. I understand, but to me, it was the wrong move, and you can't tell a grown man to stop talking about your kid when your kid is a professional athlete. Like it's not your daughter who's in grade school playing in the intramural leagues. That'd be weird if Stephen A was, breaking down game tape of an intramural league, middle school girls game. He's talking about a professional athlete who, by all accounts, doesn't belong there. And so Stephen A. Smith can do this.
Yeah, the whole thing is just
damn
weird to me.
Grant, man, that was the wrong time for you to join the join the thing. It says zero ball knowledge. We weren't really breaking down X's and O's, but you have zero balls, so the world ain't fair, kid. Kick rocks. All right, bro. Let's get to your Yankees, man.
We go back to that comment. Like, we weren't talking about on court anything. Like, I don't. Okay.
Zero ball knowledge. I don't know. I don't even know what that means.
Sure.
Whatever. We're gonna keep talking about it though. So fuck it. Bert.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound hyperbolic here. I don't want to feed into, rampant, reckless speculation.
Sure.
And I don't want to overreact.
Yeah.
But the Yankee season's over.
It ain't looking
over.
great. When your top ace goes down for Tommy John surgery, and then your designated hitter is having, what is it, elbow pain? In both elbows because of an overcorrection to a swing last season. And then one of your rookie aces is going to be out for 6 weeks plus. It's not comforting, right? The Cole thing's probably our biggest loss.
Yeah.
Stanton always deals with injury issues. Not surprised about that. And Luis Gale is it sucks, but he'll be back. losing Garrett Cole for the whole season, that hurts.
Yeah.
And mainly because we couldn't re-sign Soto. I think it hurts more knowing, obviously, we wanted to re-sign him. He went with the Mets. We've been over this time and time again. Don't care anymore. We've made some moves to try to replace his bat, but I don't think it's pitching that's going to win you a World Series.
Mhm.
And good decision making by a manager. Along, of course, you can't win if you don't score runs, but let's be honest here. Like, defense wins championships, good pitching. As much as you want to get runs, you can't give them up. And listen, Cole not being in the entire season, that's rough. I'm not going to say we can't do it. It's not going to be as, not that it's easy. It's just the percentage wise, it's not looking as good as it was before. I haven't checked to see how much we dropped Vegas wise. Because I know we were the favorite in the AL, but yeah, it's misery. It really is. The only thing now I can pray for is the downfall of the Mets. That's all I got. Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been paying attention to spring training, bud, but we're doing pretty good here. Pretty good.
Sure. Yeah. When practice is over and the real season starts.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. The only thing I'll know for sure is that Garrett Cole won't be there.
That's-
So the weird thing about this is, up until, like, everybody knew something was up,
Mhm.
and it felt very secretive. Like they were holding out hope that he could make it work. And then all of a sudden,
Yeah. I don't think they wanted to admit how
hurt he was.
hurt he was. And because when it first came out, his elbow's being evaluated.
Mhm.
And you're like, throwing elbow. You're like, this sounds Tommy Johnish to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And then that was a couple of days, and then after a while, they obviously they had to come out and say, yeah, this is happening. And God, it sucks.
The sad thing is, Garrett Cole has been a workhorse. Like,
yeah,
he started almost 100 games the last couple years. And then last year obviously
he
was
had
like
a Cy
his first
Young
real
2 years ago.
right.
Now,
Last year was like
season,
his
the season
first
before.
Yeah, last year probably was his first big chunk of the season missing, right? Like because of injury or whatever was going on.
Exactly.
Missed about half the season, something like that. But anyway,
came back the latter half. I mean, had really good outings despite Game 5 of the World Series, and obviously all the reports, everybody's looking to get back to work. They're focused. This is their mission now, and
I mean, next
he's
man
just
up,
gonna have to do it from the sidelines,
So, especially these days, the way offenses kind of evolved in baseball, like you need these pitchers. You're talking about 250 innings a season. Like we need these starting pitchers to be ready to go. And if you have any type of elbow or any type of something to your throwing motion, it sucks. And I think the thing that from the Yankees fans that I've kind of paid attention to and I've kind of talked to, I think the team knowing that he had something, and maybe they knew he needed Tommy John the whole time, and they were just kind of slow rolling. Like messing with your UCL and stuff like that is probably nothing you want to play around with. But like you lose Soto, like you mentioned earlier, and you didn't really have a plan to like replace all that, especially if you knew Garrett Cole.
I mean, it came together, with Bellinger and Goldschmidt and things like that. Now this could have been Cash's plan all along. I mean, he could have realized.
I'm talking about the Sandy Alcantara stuff and letting, I'm talking about just Cashman in general, like having no real plan of succession for anything to me. Hey, we're just gonna rely on Jazz. We're gonna rely on Aaron Judge. Obviously, they're probably relying on Stanton. We'll be fine. Like, Juan Soto, but like, you had to have known Garrett Cole was having discomfort. Like, this didn't just happen on a Tuesday.
Man, I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, it was throwing some fine, and then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, something doesn't feel right. He came out, and then next thing you know, it's like we're being evaluated.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, look, I know baseball and particularly pitching, very mechanical. It's a very technical position, and these things can happen out of nowhere. But as I've said time and time again, I'm so fucking tired of seeing guys getting injured in what would be a training period over things like this. It's like, is it so hard to ask?
Mm-hmm.
And this could be freak. I don't want to say Garrett Cole wasn't active during off season, but like in what other sport, I guess you can say football, because a lot of shit happens in camp too, but can athletes that are paid millions of dollars, please just pick up a ball in the off season, like let's go. Like let just warm up throughout. Like this is your job. I selfish fan here speaking,
Nope. As a guy who bans players from playing in the World Baseball Classic, don't do nothing. Don't do nothing. Just stay healthy. Don't play no extra baseball.
Maybe yoga.
Yeah, yoga, sauna. Do some. I don't care what you do. Get on the VR. I don't know, but don't go play baseball, because you jump up, down, you'll tear your stuff up. You're gone for the year. Nope. Don't do nothing. You'll be fine. Bert, do you have a game ball you want to give out?
So yeah, I mean, look, we didn't talk about hockey tonight, not only because trade deadline went, nothing major, so to speak, that stood out, right? That hasn't already been talked about. But, one of the things, and for me, this is incredibly personal, but the Rangers have signed Jonathan Quick to an extension. Veteran goaltender, has been really good to us now, the second season, soon to be third, and in his 40th year of life. At age 40, he's coming back next year to, again, back up Igor Shesterkin. And I honestly think the reason he's getting my game ball is because this is such an important part of our goaltending collection, if you will. And the fact that if Igor needs a break, he can step in, no problem. He's been seamless all year, and the team tends to play harder in front of him too. So I'm happy we extended him. So he's getting my game ball.
Sweet. I told you last week that all March, because it's Women Empowerment Month, I'm going to do something. My game balls are going to go to any woman thing in sports. Mine is going to Serena Williams, who have joined the Toronto Tempo, a new WNBA team coming to Toronto. Even though I'm upset that Toronto got a team before Philly, it's still Serena Williams. The team says she'll play an active role in like designing the jerseys and merchandise, collabs, things of that nature. And they're pitching themselves not just as another team in Toronto, but like the face of women's basketball for the whole country of Canada, which is dope. And if you're going to get somebody to help you expand past Canada, what more powerful woman in sports than Serena Williams?
Yeah.
So shout out to her. I guess that means we won't be seeing Drake courtside at any tempo games anytime soon.
Never say never,
Well, I mean, unless the Tempo gets, wait for it, a minor league team.